Lance, I'm good to see you. I was a little concerned when I talked to you on Monday. You were sick.
On a scale of 1 to 100, Bob, I'm about 40% right now.
All right. Well,
but I'm okay.
All right. Well, Lance, for those of you on the call, Lance is our professional webinar instructor. Lance has never missed a gig. And when I talked to him on Monday, I thought he was going to miss that gig because he was just sick. So I'm glad you're recovering.
Well, I may not leave this chair for a few hours after this, but I'm good.
And we don't call Lance the coronavirus. What do you call it? The Bud Light virus.
It's the Bud Light virus, yeah.
Katie, welcome as always. Katie's our contributing editor. She'll come on and talk about budgets and stuff like that. But hey, we want to start with Chris Lorenzana, the Deputy Director of the SBA Orange County Inland Empire Office. Chris, I thought you changed it officially to the Inland Empire, but that's, what do you, I guess that's what you call yourselves these days, correct?
Yes, good morning, Bob. Yes, for over 2 decades, we were known as the Santa Ana District Office.
Right.
And every time we went out to the Inland Empire, the number one question was, well, okay, that's great, but where's my local Inland Empire office? And so we went through a number of levels of bureaucracy, and we were able to officially change the name of our office to the Orange County Inland Empire District Office.
I believe you're the largest district office in the country, or if not the or one of the largest, correct? I mean, yeah,
we're absolutely one of the top producing SBA offices around the country in terms of partnership, lender activity, government contracting, and so that's something that we're very proud of here. Alberto Quijada, our director, always insists that we provide a very high level of customer service, so we're happy to do it.
Call him AQ. That's what
AQ. That's right. That's what most of the world knows him as.
Hey, we brought you on. Normally, we don't promote regional or district events, but you're in my backyard. Joseph and I and Katie will all be there. Tell us what's happening on February 25th.
Yes. Well, good morning, everyone. Before I put in a quick plug for the upcoming SBA Lender Forum, I want to thank Bob, Joseph, and the entire Coleman team for being so supportive of everything we do at the Orange County Inland Empire District Office, and for all the education that Coleman provides the small business lending community. It does mean a lot to us at the SBA, and we appreciate it. I'm pleased to be able to kick off today's Coleman Report Live with a quick plug for the upcoming SBA Lender Forum on Wednesday, February 25th at the DoubleTree by Hilton in Santa Ana, California. The forum is something that our office has put on for years, and we strive to always offer relevant and timely information for our SBA lending partners and partners throughout the related industries. And again, this year is no different. We're honored to have 2 senior SBA officials joining us as speakers. The first is Bill Menger, who is our Associate Administrator for the Office of Capital Access. Bill will be sharing the latest fiscal 20 lending stats. He's expected to provide a lot of insight on the new SOP, which we're expecting will drop at the end of this month. And he'll also provide updates on all SBA programs, loan programs and initiatives, including support of underserved communities and some technological advances that the office is going through. The other special guest on the 25th is David Glackham, who is our Associate Administrator for the Office of International Trade. David will be discussing how lenders can help small businesses maximize their potential in untapped international markets. He'll provide an overview of SBA's international trade loan programs, how export loans help a business throughout the sales cycle, and he'll also discuss some other tools and solutions to help grow business sales. All in all, it's shaping up to be a great event, and we hope to see you there. If you are interested in registering and attending, visit lendersforumsba.eventbrite.com. Once again, lendersforumsba.eventbrite.com. And I just want to give a quick correction. I think I said Wednesday. It's Tuesday, February 25th. So once again, lendersforumsba.eventbrite.com. I want to thank again the entire Coleman team, and we'll see you all on February 25th.
Well, Chris, I want to be clear. I mean, does the lender have to be in Orange County, or can someone from Omaha catch on a plane and come out and enjoy the lunch?
Yeah, no, absolutely. The invitation is for everyone. In fact, we were just looking at the registration. I think we have a few folks coming, joining us from Wisconsin. So I think that's the first. That's the first, and that's the farthest guest that we've ever had for a lender forum. I want to also say, if you can't make it, we'll do everything we can to get the the PowerPoint or the presentation decks from all of our speakers. And Bob and Joseph, maybe that's something that we can share with the entire audience.
We'd be happy to do that. And maybe our friends, Lance and I have our friends up in Alaska. We have several callers from Alaska. Maybe they want to come down for a nice Orange County winter as opposed to being in Alaska. So. And I know you're charging an exorbitant rate for this, correct?
Yes, it's a hefty rate of $85 pre-registration, and I believe it's $95 at the door. But once again, it's a wealth of information and a great lunch.
Great. Chris, thank you so much for joining us. Say hello to AQ for me, and I'll see you in a couple weeks. And thank you for plugging that. Very good.
All right. Thanks again. Bye-bye.
We got a ton of information. Let's get into it. Let's go to the poll questions. SBA new proposed rule, which dropped Friday night.
Yeah.
Register, Lance. It comes out at like 2 a.m. So it's Saturday morning for me. I don't know. But the new proposed rule will prevent LSPs, loan service providers, from providing services to both the applicant and the lender. True, false, or I have no idea.
Now, there was a lot of discussion of LSPs in the new rule, Bob.
What's the answer, Lance?
From my read, Bob, it looked like the LSP will only be able to charge the bank.
Yeah, it's the two master rule, and they can charge one or the other, but they can't.
Yeah, you can. The two master rules in full effect here, but there will not be a situation where the LSP can charge the borrower something and then turn around and charge the bank something as well.
This is a shameless plug for Lance and my webinar that we're doing. I think we're starting next week. We're doing a two-parter, which one registration fee, you can attend both, you can have your people do. So Lance is going to get up to speed very quickly on that. And then the new affiliation rule. And Lance, I know this is dear to your heart, poultry farmers and rural agricultural providers.
Now, Bob, first of all, I have the flu. Secondly, I was reading through this while having the flu, and the affiliation rule gives me a headache prior to the new rule. But and I'm not clear on this yet, Bob. What is?
Yeah, I would agree with True because but Lance, I'm going to defer to you, and I'm going to let you.
Well, the deal is on poultry loans, Bob. There has been discussion they've been difficult to do over the past 2 years, and most of that discussion centered around is there an affiliation between the integrator and the grower?
Right.
And those relationships for someone like me who's done poultry loans over a 30-year span of time, it's changed a lot over time, and there is more control on the part of the integrators. So, the new affiliation rule probably will have a negative impact on agriculture.
What's the current status? If I want to do a poultry loan, I know SBA slammed delegated lenders from doing POP, and they have to go GP. Do we still have to go GP, or what's the current status? Do you know?
My understanding is you still need to submit them GP. They take a little longer, but they're getting done.
Yeah, I mean, you're talking, it's interesting. All right, I'm going to go down a rabbit hole. My wife and I went on a cruise, and we went to a farm, a cheese farm. And when we came back to the United States, they said, did you interact with livestock? Well, there's pictures on our iPhone of, feeding the goats and petting the pigs. And I go, I don't know what happens if we say yes, but we said no and skated through. So
yeah.
I'm sure we committed some major fraud there, but I didn't want to find out what would happen if I said yes. Third poll question. SBA's personal resource test will require owners with a 20% ownership to require a cash injection. And Lance, go ahead and riff on this. What is...
I did read through this one pretty clearly because it's interesting. You know, we had a personal resource test
Right.
quite a while ago, and Bob, it's incredibly generous. I mean, you know, the liquid capital that a 20% owner, it has to be well in excess of the project amount. I don't think that this is going to really change.
Look at those answers. I love it. I mean, that talk about a divided audience.
So here's the deal. It's not necessarily going to require a cash injection. What it will do is require us to do a simple calculation off of their personal financial statement to determine if they do need to make additional cash injection.
Right. And you and I have talked a lot. I mean, SBA doesn't provide specific guidance on that. It's prudent lending standards, and that's why we're doing the webinar next week.
And this helps us. This helps us too, Bob, with credit elsewhere.
Yeah.
You know, if you got somebody with $1 million in their personal checking account, and you're doing a $500,000 loan for them, well, that doesn't meet credit elsewhere in my book. So the personal resource test, I think, will protect us as SBA lenders.
And these are all the, it's on our website, all 31 pages. You're feel free to download it. And this is what Lance is going to be talking about on February. Actually, I think we just agreed to move the date. So anyway, we're going to have two. March 4th is definitive, but Joseph and I were talking. We said, well, wait a minute. We're going to be in Orange County on February 25th. So I think we'll change to that date as well.
Well, another interesting thing, guys, that we'll discuss is the fees that can be charged on SBA loans. They were clarified.
They're clarified. And a lot of other things going on with that. Hey, let's go to the questions because I know we're running out of time. Tiffany asked, does the 5-day escrow count begin the date the closing documents are dated, or do you actually send the funds to the closing agent? Lance, what you say?
It starts on the date the closing documents are dated. That's kind of the SOP says you can use an escrow account to facilitate a closing. It shouldn't be used for more than 5 business days. You shouldn't mark the loan on your 1502 report as dispersed until the escrow account is fully dispersed. Now, Tiffany, you're going to have a loan with a loan number. It's just not going to be dispersed. If you go a day over, you don't have to redo the loan. You disperse the funds and then on your next 1502 report, mark it as dispersed. The SOP gives no guidance, Bob, on what happens if it goes 1 day over, what happens if it goes 2 days over. But I do think SBA put this in there to try to avoid those lenders who will do a loan, fully disperse it into an escrow account that's going to have multiple disbursements over a period of time. They don't want lenders doing that. But if it's just to facilitate a close, and again, Tiffany, if you run a day over, disperse the funds.
I agree with you, Lance. They're not going to pop the guarantee for 1
Yeah,
day.
and then there's no discussion about what if you go over.
Let's go to Brianna. If a borrower obtained a loan for their first location in another financial institution, and we're going to finance the second one, can the borrower use their working capital from the first location as a cash injection?
Well, there's challenges with this because it's borrowed money. Borrowed money cannot count as equity injection. There's some more detail that I would need to give a definitive answer, but my general response to this.
Now you're talking like SBA. Give us the real.
Well, Bob, no, you cannot use working capital from a loan to the company that's opening a second location. There might, be some circumstances where this is okay, but as a whole, the answer, Brianne, is no. You cannot use that working capital from
what the SOP says. You can get, for example, a home equity line of credit as long as the significant other can pay for that out of their their other employment, and it's not coming from the small
Yeah,
business.
the SOP states you can use borrowed money as long as there's a secondary source of repayment, but it talks about personally borrowed money. It doesn't talk about the business borrowing money.
Ryan asked the question about the 10% equity injection. Go ahead, Lance.
Oh, and Brian's right on point here. I just worded it improperly in the webinar yesterday. Ryan, you're right on point. On a change of ownership between two partners, you got to look at the balance sheet from the most recent fiscal year and the most current quarter. And as long as there's a 9-to-1 debt to worth, exactly as you stated, Brian, it's okay. Sometimes I like to look at a pro forma, and that's probably what was confusing. I like to look at a pro forma balance sheet after the transaction is completed as a prudent lender, and I like to see at least a 10% equity position at that point. But Brian, right on point. Thanks for bringing this up, because that is correct. On a BizAct where one partner's buying out the other, you look at the most recent fiscal year and the most current quarter and 9-to-1 debt to worth. That's correct.
Joseph, let's skip to Cece's question. There we go. Tell us about releasing collateral.
Well, first of all, release of collateral is a unilateral action for SBA lenders. So you can release anything as long as it's prudent. In the case of someone refinancing their loan for a better rate and payment, as long as they're not taking cash out, if it's just a straight refinance, there is no problem with you releasing and refiling the mortgage after the new financing's in place. Where it would be problematic is if they were taking cash out. Where it would be problematic is if the new loan did not provide payment relief. There wouldn't be a legitimate reason for it. But release of collateral is unilateral. You've just got to make sure and document your file well with a servicing memorandum. And again, Cecilia, you can release and refile again, but just make sure you look at that new loan and that there's no cash out. It's okay for closing costs, but they can't take cash out.
Lance, I got this question a couple of years ago, and I'm bringing it up. Is a homeowner wanted to build a pool, and they were taking out a loan for the pool, and so they got the lender to release the second lien. Should the lender then file a third lien on the house after that?
If there's equity, yes.
Do it. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. But it's okay to release the lien, to allow them to do that, and to say they won't do that.
And I know, guys, we frequently take junior mortgages on residential real estate because SBA says we're supposed to take all available collateral.
Right.
So they do create problems. But in this circumstance, Cecilia, multiple times in my career as an SBA lender, I've had a situation where they refinanced and we released and refiled.
Okay. John asked a great question. What have you heard about the Community Advantage program? Will SBA renew it? I have no inside information. I doubt Lance does. I do not see it going away, though. That's my opinion. What about you?
I don't see it going away, but I have absolutely no specific knowledge that would support that.
Yeah. Okay. And then Paul asked a question about the Taxpayer First Act, new batching procedures. I have no idea what he's talking about. Do you, Lance?
Paul, it's a great question. I wish I had one of my closers on that deals with this, but I can't provide. The one thing that this brings up is getting tax transcripts from the IRS continues to be a difficult process. And so don't have a response to this, Paul, but I know getting our transcripts, just getting the 4506T completed in a way that the IRS will accept it is a challenge on its own.
Cece just emailed us and said the problem we're having on the second lien issues is FHA is making waves about us doing that. So it's not an SBA issue. It's sounds more.
Well, the thing to do, Cecilia, is evaluate the current equity situation. Sometimes you'll take a second mortgage on the property and there's not much equity. You can do a net recoverable value calculation. And if there's not enough equity there? And in net recoverable value, what would it cost to list and sell the house if you foreclose? What would it cost to pay off the first mortgage? And what are the expenses of marketing that? If there's little or no equity, you could substantiate just releasing the second mortgage. But I mean, if you've got a house that you've got a loan where there's virtually no collateral, and the second mortgage has, $100,000 in equity, you need to find a way to be able to file that second mortgage or get alternative collateral.
Hey, let's go to the big news of the day, Katie. What's going on with the administration's 2021 budget and SBA?
So this last week, we finally got to see what the 2021 budget was going to look like. And the new budget requests $739 million in budget authority, which is a 25% decrease from the 2020 level that we're at now. And we were kind of discussing this earlier this week, and you were saying it wasn't a huge problem, right?
I personally don't think it's a problem. Lance, turn your phone off.
That being said, we are seeing, Velasquez said that she was very disappointed, and we also heard from Ben Cardin, he was very disappointed in this. But I think they are going to eventually get the money needed to continue to make this program work well.
The White House will not blow up the budget over this.
No.
Every year these things come out, and I certainly understand the administration's position of wanting to cut the budget. Part of this number, though, you have to realize, is 7A got a subsidy in 2020. We want to see the results of the GAO audit. But Lance, you can back me up on this. I mean, it's a bipartisan program. You and I have talked to the people on the Hill. They're not going to blow it up, and the administration's not going to blow up the budget.
It's just like the vote on the new administrator. That's the only thing the Republicans and Democrats have worked together on.
What, 85-4? I'm guessing there, but it was amazing, right?
There's bipartisan support for SBA. The budget will end up being fine. This is more, and I hate to say this, Bob, it's posturing.
No, and that's fine. And I have no issue with that statement, because I think people need to understand. They read this stuff, and think, we're in a world of hurt. We're going to be okay. That's
guys. You should have been around in the 80s when we frequently got. Congress was trying to eliminate the SBA.
Well, no, it was the Reagan administration. They want to eliminate it. We are nowhere near those days as we were. So we have to report this, and these are the true numbers, but I wouldn't lose sleep over it. And for your budget next year, we're going to be fine. But the key thing is we want to see what happens with that GAO audit, because what our people are telling us is, it was a one-time $100 million line item, which on a $4.6 trillion budget is nothing. So we're going to report it, and we're going to be on top of it. But I think for your budget for 2021, you're going to be okay. Real quick, secondary market quotes. Secondary market continues to be strong. Make sure that your CFO and you, if you're interested in this, that you get these reports directly. Katie, real quick, what are you talking about Fraud Friday?
So on Friday, I'm writing about Sean Finn, who was a former Montana loan broker. He was recently found guilty of a multi-million-dollar fraud scheme in which he made up a company, and you gotta love this name. They were called Malum, which was standing for Make a Lot of Money.
I love it.
But what he was claiming was you would put in a payment between $100,000 and $1 million, and then he would let you get a large cash loan or invest. And it was just all filtering into his accounts. And when the FBI found out, he ran away and went up to Canada. And we just got him back here like about 2 years ago. And he just was found guilty last week.
Katie, I look forward to reading this one.
I mean, it's just amazing. Real quick, tomorrow we're cutting off the compensation survey. And last year it took me a couple weeks. I'm committed to get this done immediately. So please, here's my promise to you. if you're in one of those job categories, give us your information. It's all anonymous. We will send you the free report. And of course, what we do, then we bundle it all and sell it to your HR people. So I think we're pretty transparent on what we're doing with that. And Joseph, when are we going to do the first? Hop on real quick. We can't do it the 25th because we're going to be in Orange County. So what's the date we're going to do?
So March 4th is confirmed, and we'll notify the industry when we're going to do the first
All
one.
right. I apologize for that. We had an internal snap. Anyway, I'm doing a construction loan webinar next week, and then Lance and I will be doing collateral requirements, clarifying that on February 26th. I didn't see any collateral changes in that rules notice, and I don't know.
I didn't either, but it definitely needs talked about, Bob, because we had weeks worth of questions about it.
Yeah, I mean, we continue to get questions. Hey, thank you all very much for joining us. And I'm looking at the numbers. This is the most we've ever had on a show, so thank you for that. And Lance, Katie, Joseph, and I, and Michael, thank you for your support.
We appreciate you. Thank you.
I'll talk to you next week. Lance, get better.
Okay, I'm going to take some medicine now.
There you go.